He dumped me for someone older, richer, and in his words, more sophisticated than I could ever be. I was 23, madly in love, and thought we were building a future together. He told me I wasn't enough. He told me that I wasn't the kind of woman he could see himself growing old with. I can still remember the sting of those words, the way he looked at me like I was some unfinished draft compared to the polished final product he had found in her. That night, I lay in bed shaking with heartbreak, my chest so tight I could barely breathe. My mind raced with 100 questions. Was I not beautiful enough, not smart enough, not worthy enough? I didn't just lose him. I lost the version of myself that believed love could conquer everything. The years that followed weren't easy. I watched from the sidelines as he flaunted his new life, posting pictures of vacations, champagne, luxury cars. Mutual friends would whisper updates, as if I needed to know he was thriving without me. Every new story about his glamorous life was another twist of the knife. I buried myself in work, trying to forget, but there were nights I cried until my pillow was soaked. Yet somewhere beneath that pain, there was a spark. I didn't know it at the time, but that heartbreak was fueling me. I started climbing in my career, taking risks I never thought I could. I learned new skills, took courses, built connections, and poured every ounce of that pain into creating a life that had nothing to do with him. 7 years later, I walked into one of the most prestigious 3-star Michelin restaurants in the city. The air smelled of truffle and aged wine, waiters glided between tables in crisp suits, and the walls glowed with soft golden light. This was a place where reservations were booked months in advance, a place where every dish was a piece of art. I wasn't just there to eat. I was there as a guest of honor. My company had become one of the restaurant's largest investors, and tonight, the owner himself had invited me for a private dinner. And that's when I saw him. My ex. He was seated near the window with his wife, the same woman he'd left me for. He looked older, heavier around the eyes, the spark of arrogance still sitting on his face like a permanent fixture. When he noticed me, his lips curled into a sneer. He leaned back in his chair, gave me a once-over, and with that same condescending tone I remembered so well, he said, "This isn't really your scene, is it?" In that moment, a flood of old emotions rushed back, the humiliation, the heartbreak, the years of feeling like I was never enough. But instead of shrinking, I straightened. I smiled politely, like his words were nothing more than a fly buzzing near my ear. I opened my mouth to respond, but I didn't have to. Because just then, the restaurant owner, dressed in a sharp black suit, approached our table. His presence commanded the room. He clapped me on the shoulder warmly and said, "Ah, there she is. We've been waiting for you. Don't you know who she is?" The look on my ex's face was priceless. His confident smirk faltered, his eyes darted between me and the owner, confusion painting every feature. His wife tilted her head, clearly intrigued. I watched as his arrogance began to crumble, piece by piece. The owner turned toward the table, gesturing with a flourish. "She's not just a guest tonight. She's the reason this restaurant exists in its current form. Without her investments and vision, we wouldn't be here. She is one of our most important partners." For a heartbeat, silence hung heavy. My ex's mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. His wife's eyes widened, her gaze sweeping over me as though seeing me for the first time. And there I stood, no longer the heartbroken girl he discarded, but a woman who had built herself into someone powerful, respected, and untouchable. I leaned in just slightly, close enough that he could see the glint in my eyes. "Seems like it's very much my scene," I said softly, before excusing myself to join the private table reserved for me. As I walked away, I could feel their stares burning into my back. But I didn't look back. I didn't need to. The revenge was complete in its simplicity. I didn't have to scream or gloat. I didn't need to throw his betrayal in his face. My success spoke louder than any insult ever could. Later that night, as I sipped a glass of vintage wine, I reflected on how far I'd come. The universe has a way of circling back, of putting people exactly where they deserve to be. He had chosen wealth and status over love, and in the end, I had both, but on my own terms. If you've ever been underestimated, if you've ever had someone dismiss you like you were nothing, remember this: sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't about getting even. It's about rising so high above that the people who once doubted you can't even reach your shadow. So tell me, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen play out? If this story gave you chills, hit that like button, subscribe, and join me for more tales of karma delivering the justice we all dream about.